How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is Indeed Gaming here. I am, in fact, Mr. Indeed, and welcome to my channel. Please do like, share, and comment on this video, and we're going to get right into it. Now, this is going to be basically a review on what we know of the Gotham Knights, going through each character, going through some criticisms of the character, going through the game, going through some criticisms of the game, that I personally think are fair criticisms of the game and the characters and certain choices that were made as far as the game goes. And I kind of want to make sure that I separate the two, because here and there in like every take that I've tried to do this, I keep on conflating some and I start ranting, and I'm trying not to do that. So this is like take 10 or like 11 now. But I think one thing that people need to understand is that just because you criticize the game does not mean you hate the game. It's like, but also there's a good amount of people who just want to hate like every game that comes out that's not exactly what they want. And realistically, gamers need to understand every game that comes out is not going to be everything that you want. Not only is every game that comes out not going to be everything you want, but realistically, some things sometimes just aren't feasible. In this case, I'm talking about perhaps them no longer having this on previous gen. Perhaps the game not being 60 frames and being locked at 30. I don't doubt that they wanted the game to be at 60 frames, but I do doubt that it was feasible in the time that they were given. I don't doubt that they wanted the game to be on previous gen, but I do doubt that they would have been able to release it on previous gen in a good state. And if they would have released it on previous gen and tried to do 60 frames, and this game would have released like Cyberpunk, then everybody would have been singing a completely different tune. People need to understand that game developers, they are in control to a point. For example, the Cyberpunk devs thought the game needed another year of development, and they got told to kick rocks, and then we all see how that happened. So when you're talking about, game devs and what is and isn't in a game on launch, or how they, do or don't get certain things done, I think that people need to keep in mind that at the end of the day, the companies that fund these games, that make those types of decisions, the people who told the devs of Cyberpunk 2077 to kick rocks when they said the game needed another year, that company is not making games out of the kindness of their heart. They're making it for money. They're making it at a timetable that at the end of the day, they kind of sort of control. So I feel like we need to start giving game devs a little bit more leeway in our criticisms, because at the end of the day, they're not in 100% of control of what's going on. I understand that people are passionate and they care about these types of things, especially when it comes to pop culture, video games, movies, anything. You're going to see when I get to my criticisms that I am as well. You will see that sometimes that can cause you to be a little nitpicky, and you will see in my criticisms, I admit some of my criticisms are a bit nitpicky probably, but at the end of the day, I think that we need to make sure that we don't let this cloud our judgment and become unfair. Because what I see quite a bit, I would say, is people who are fairly unfair to a lot of game developers, not just this particular team. Okay? I just wanted to get that out. Actually, I didn't want to get that out. That was a rant that I wasn't supposed to go on, but I'm going to leave it in the video anyway. Anyway. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, we're going to get on to the characters, and I'm going to try to make this short, sweet, to the point. I'm not going to go down and break through everybody's skill trees, because, everyone else is doing those videos, and I don't have that footage, unfortunately. And one of the things that I really want to highlight that they did that I actually really like is that despite the fact that this game is not connected to the Arkham series, you can really see parts of Arkham series' Batman in every character's playstyle, except I would say Red Hood. If someone sees something in it that I don't, please let me know in the comment section below. But as far as the other characters, you can see parts of Batman from the Arkham series and all of their play styles. And if you played those games, I feel like you would take certain play styles from each character and come away thinking, yes, this character was trained by Batman. And I actually really like that. Now, we're going to start out with Tim Drake Robin. Now, if you played the Arkham series, if you played the Assassin's Creed series before they ruined it, or any game that has like stealth options or, you know, go in loud and proud options, if you chose stealth, Tim Drake is the character that you want to choose. Tim Drake's skill tree really heavily leans into his stealth abilities. He has abilities that are going to help him not get detected as often. He has abilities that he can actually turn invisible. He has the ability to use a decoy that actually teleports him a bit of a distance if you look at what happens to him when he does it. But most of his stuff deals towards stealth. And that is what he takes from Batman. He's actually the only character who, as far as we can tell so far, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure this was confirmed, but as far as we know, and I believe this was confirmed, he's the only character that can actually take down enemies from a perch and then hang them from it, just like Batman could do in the Arkham series. He's also the only character that can do silent takedowns on the big guys. The other characters cannot. So stealth is really where he leans into. If you want to go through a building, a room, a street, and take out every single enemy there without being seen, if that's your play style, then Tim is probably the one that you're going to lean towards, because that is what his skill tree really encourages. Also, I should probably mention that his special traversal ability is he can teleport. He does this by using the Justice League's teleporting system, which, if I'm being honest, I would be a little surprised if the Justice League was like, oh yeah, just use our teleport system. We don't mind. Whenever you want. But hey, it is what it is. I'll leave it at that. It's fine. Moving on. We're going to go on to Batgirl, Barbara Gordon. Now, her play style is going to be the beat 'em up character. She really excels in 1v1 combat. The thing that she takes from the Batman and the Arkham series is that if any of you have played that series, and you know when you throw the cape in front of the enemy to like daze them, and then you start going in for that Wing Chun quick combos for some way that you could really get your combo numbers up pretty quick. She basically has that ability, but she just doesn't have to throw the cape in front of their face before she does it. But that is what she takes from the Batman in the Arkham series. Her skill tree leans into her being more of a tanky character. Like, she has the ability to negate damage, or have extra defense, I should say, when she gets hit while she's doing a combo. She also has the ability to negate flinching while she's in the middle of a combo, which is also a pretty tanky ability. But then she also has the ability to revive herself when she gets down, which is unique to her as well. And her special traversal is, as you could tell by the fact that she is the only one that has a suit basically modeled after the Batsuit, is she can glide just like Batman in the Arkham series, which is another thing that she takes from her mentor. Moving on, we're going on to Dick Grayson, Nightwing. Now, Nightwing, what he takes from the Arkham series Batman is that he can bounce back and forth between all the enemies, close or far, fairly well, and this is attributed to his acrobatic abilities. And you also see that in his skill tree when it comes to knighthood. A lot of his stuff has to do with his acrobatic abilities. One of his abilities is he can actually do a somersault and jump on top of an enemy's head, and apparently that ability can be upgraded so that he can do it to multiple enemies. But when it comes to his skill tree, a part of his skill tree leans pretty heavily into buffing his teammates, giving them more health, giving them more defense, giving them more attack, stuff like that. So that's him in his skill tree embodying the leadership role, because that is what a leader's supposed to do. Combat wise, I think he is done fairly well. He's not as good as, like, he's not like the beat 'em up character like Barbara is, but I have seen little bits and pieces of him being able to really sit down on one character and just like piece him up pretty much. Okay, moving on to our last character, my favorite, my main, the Red Hood. Now, Red Hood is going to be mainly your range character. Now, this doesn't mean that he doesn't have the ability to fight on the inside. He's actually the only character that has the ability to grab the bigger enemies. He also has the ability to grab enemies and put a bomb on them and kick them into a crowd and then shoot that bomb on them. He has the ability to put bombs on the ground in front of him. So he does have the ability to stay in, but a lot of his skill tree really leans into his range stuff, shooting people. That's mainly his thing, his quick fire ability. He looks like his range abilities are going to be by far the best in the game. It looks like Batgirl has decent range, but I think Red Hood's going to, everyone else is going to pale in comparison to him. He has the ability to aim down sights and really shoot from a distance. I don't think I've seen anything in his skill tree indicating if he gets any like special abilities if he does that to an enemy that's unaware of where he is, but I'm sure that's something that's a possibility. But range, grappling, this is really Red Hood where he shines in that. Now, his special abilities as far as his knighthood tree really lean into a mystic side of him that's honestly not typically a thing, but in this they kind of leaned into it. So he has, for his special traversal, the mystic leap, where he can basically jump on thin air. He has the ability he has like a charge ability that he can kind of charge through a group of enemies and knock them down. He has the ability to like shoot a mystic energy ball out of his gun that it can bounce between enemies, which honestly, it seems like a fairly powerful ability if I'm being honest, despite how I feel about his, how, true to his character those abilities are. That particular one seems like it's probably one of the more powerful abilities in the game. Now, one thing I will say about him, not to get too much into criticism sides, is that he was advertised as a tanky character. I'm not sure if you're looking to play with a tank, he's the character that you want to lean towards. I would lean towards Barbara. Now, he does have one ability specifically that does lean more on that side, and that is his ability to, on his knighthood tree. It's like called Rage or something like that, where basically attacks give him more. Him getting hit ups his attack, I believe, and then he can also heal X amount of health per I think like 20 seconds, I believe it is. I'll put it up on the screen so you can read it yourself. But yeah, that's kind of where Red Hood is. I would say, again, if you're looking to get some grappling in, if you're looking to do some range stuff, he's going to be the guy that you want to lean towards. It looks like he also has the ability to get to his takedowns much quicker than the rest of the knights, which again does make him a little more dangerous close range. So that's my kind of breakdown of each character, and try to help people understand who each character is, what it is they take from the old series that you may be used to, try to help you understand who you may want to play with, and just kind of give a quick breakdown of it. Now, we will get to the criticisms of the characters and how they were done, which I believe are fair criticisms. If you don't believe these are fair criticisms, please let me know in the comment section below. When it comes to Tim, honestly, I think I don't really have any complaints about Tim. I have really no criticisms of Tim. When it comes to Nightwing, I feel like they made a mistake in making his skill tree so team buff heavy. Because the issue with that is that if you're somebody who wants to main Nightwing, but you're also someone who wants to play the game by yourself, or it's just going to play the game by yourself, then you kind of render like half of it, or a half, not a half, I should say a quarter of his skill tree useless to that player. And that's a quarter of a skill tree that's useless to that player that wouldn't be the same on any other character, because the other characters don't really have so much geared toward buffing the team. Now, obviously, I understand why they made him the team buffing character, because he's supposed to be the leader. That's what he's supposed to do. That makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense, but I am saying that maybe that should have been something that was like a passive ability tacked on to something specifically for him, so that you keep that ability for that to be useful. And some of the things on the skill tree do that, but I'm saying that probably all of them should have done that. When it comes to Barbara, it's kind of her and Jason are a little intertwined in this criticism. I don't have any issues with the way she plays. Obviously, she will be the one who feels and looks the most like Batman, because her suit is modeled after Batman. Obviously, she'd be the one who can glide and stuff like that. I don't have issues with that. My issue is that they made her the tank character, but they advertised Jason as a tank character. And I remember when they first started advertising Jason as a tank character, but then I'm watching his gameplay, and so much of his gameplay is shooting. I mean, I used to play DC Universe Online for hours a day, and I didn't play a tank, but my brother played a tank. And one thing that I know is that if you're playing a tank, you're not supposed to be at range. You're supposed to be in the fight aggroing. And it's like, you can't do that if you're far away shooting people. That doesn't make any sense. So when they advertised him as being the tanky character, but then I'm watching him shoot everybody, and then I look at Batgirl's gameplay, and then I look at her skill tree, I don't understand where the disconnect was there. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I think that was just bad marketing on their part. I don't know why they did that. Also, I don't really understand why she would be the one who's considered the tank character. I mean, because realistically, she has back problems. She has not just back problems, she has spinal problems. Not only that, it's obvious that her spine issue is still a thing from when she was doing the deadlifts, when she was working out with the rest of the Gotham Knights. Her spinal issue is still a thing. I'm sorry, guys. If you have a spine problem, that's not something you can just tough it out through. If your spine goes, your spine goes. You don't have any control of that. It's like, so the person who would least likely want to be in the mix, getting hit the most, possibly getting hit in the back, would be Barbara Gordon. It doesn't matter how tough she is. If her spine goes, her spine goes. That's just, it is what it is. She's a human at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if her description says tough as nails for whatever reason that is. Like, that's always such a weird compliment when you're talking about superheroes. It's like, oh, she's tough as nails. It's like, okay, well, everyone else doesn't have that, so does that mean that they're all bitches? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, I don't understand. But anyway, it just doesn't really make any sense to me. And then when we move on to Jason is the one that I take the most issue with. And obviously Jason's the one I take the most issue with because Jason is the character that I like the most. Jason's the character that I know probably the most about. For those who don't know, and you would not be able to tell from this game at all. And to be fair, you wouldn't be able to tell from a lot of the comics he's been in over the last 3 years. Jason has the most training out of everybody in the Bat family. Now, obviously, Dick Grayson worked with Batman longer. He has that experience above Jason, to be fair. But when I say he has the most training, I mean that Jason was trained by Batman. Jason was trained by the League of Assassins. He was trained by Lady Shiva, who is typically called the #1 martial artist in the DC universe. And he was also trained by some mystical assassin group where he got flaming swords that I really need to... I keep saying that I keep forgetting to go and find out what this thing is called, but honestly at this point I just suck. I'm sorry. I didn't read that comic anyway. I just know it happened. But basically, my point is that Jason he received the most training out of everybody in the Gotham Knights. And he was trained by pretty much all assassin shinobi type characters. So how they turned that type of training, that type of history, into this giant guy who just shoots everything and angrily punches slow at everybody, I just don't get that. It doesn't make any sense to me. To be fair, I mean, even in the comics, they've I don't know how they're doing with him now. I know the Red Hood and the Outlaws have become a thing again. I don't know how they're well or not well they're doing with him now, but I know in the Joker War story and the Three Joker story, they treated Jason horribly in that story. Like, you would not think any of the things that I just said about Jason were true. So to be fair to this game, they're not alone in mistreating his character as far as what he's capable of. But I just don't understand how they made him the character that they made him. Well, I have an idea of why they made him that way. The way I see it, the way they made him that way, the reason they made him that way is because some of the devs don't really know anything about him. Or anything about a lot of the Knights, if I'm being honest. Like, I see a lot of the characters seem like they may have leaned too heavily into certain things about their combat style. Like, I feel like they went a little too far with Nightwing as far as him being like a gymnast. Now, obviously, like, I didn't list that as something as a criticism of the character, because I don't really think it takes away from his character at all. Honestly, if anything, it kind of helps talk about his backstory a bit without talking about it, because they put that into his character. So as much as I think they went a little too far with it, I don't mind it. It's not something that I would list as a criticism. With Jason, I feel like they just heard that he was the hothead that uses guns, and then they just went with what they felt like that was going to look like in the context, which to me anyway, I don't think that was the way they should have went. Now, all these things being said, I'm still maining Jason Todd. He's still going to be my main. I'm still going to play with him majority, if not the entire game. And I still plan to enjoy this game quite a bit. But I feel like sometimes people feel like they can only criticize the game and hate the game, or they can only defend the game and love the game. And I feel like that shuts out the reality in most cases, because nothing is all good, but nothing is all bad either. Like, realistically, I probably am going to play this game for hours, hopefully for months. I mean, guys, I still play Marvel Avengers, and that game's, it could be in better shape. So, I mean, like, I always have criticisms of games, but it's not like me hating the game or hating on the devs or saying this is going to be a bad game. I feel like I said in my video about what I was going to enjoy most about this game, the thing that I plan on enjoying the most about this game is the exploration and being in the world as the Red Hood. That is what I think I'm going to enjoy the most. Is his combat going to reflect what I feel like the character should be capable of? Unfortunately, no. But I'm still going to be able to enjoy the game for what it is, because at the end of the day, my interpretation of the game, or of the character I should say, although I believe it's logical because he's went through all these trainings, but for some reason it doesn't seem like he went through all these trainings. Even though to me that reason is logical, to other people the character is what they're making them. And to be fair again to this game, even in the comics, he's not really done justice as far as what he's actually capable of versus what they have happened to him in the comics. So it's not like it's uncommon or not something I'm used to, unfortunately. So when I criticize this game, I'm criticizing the game from a position of somebody who just loves the characters and enjoys what the characters are and what they could be in a video game. This does not mean I'm not going to enjoy the game, or it does not mean that you shouldn't enjoy the game. I don't know why I need to say that to some people, but like I said, sometimes, I don't know, people just people just get too caught up in hating on stuff, and I don't know, bro. That's just lame. I'm not interested. But I'm actually gonna shut this one down, and I'm gonna break the videos up because this video is going way longer than I actually wanted it to go. So I'm gonna have to cut this one off, and I will see you guys in the next one. Indeed.